Yo, congratulations, parents, teachers, educators. You made it through the opening days of e-learning, virtual learning, or maybe some even had the opportunity of seeing some of their students face to face. I think regardless of where you're at along that spectrum, is you deserve a nice big deep breath from all the anxiety, all the buildup of what school is going to look like going back this year. But now what? Life moves forward. We have the opportunity each and every single day. We either get to be part of the problem or the solution. I hope that we're focusing on solutions, but yet it's so easy to focus on the problems. But here's what I want you to know. Teachers, parents, educators, each and every single one of you are a leader. You're either leading yourself or you even are leading your kids or kiddos. And teachers, you have the great opportunity of being able to lead a group of somebody else's kids. And as leaders, we have a responsibility of not being part of the problem, but part of the solution. We have the responsibility of not focusing on the problems, but focusing on the solutions for the kids. Because here's the thing, if we focus on the problems, we're not focused on solutions. If we're focused on complaining about what's totally out of our control, we're not focusing on leading, because leading is focusing on those solutions. If we're criticizing, we're not leading. If we're condemning, we're not leading. What the kiddos need right now is for us to lead by example, by being solution focused. That doesn't mean you have to have all the answers, because you're not going to, and that's totally fine. That's great. And that is a learning moment. All the kiddos aren't going to ever have all the right answers, right? We want them to try, fail, and adjust. Try, fail, and adjust. Nobody's ever been through a pandemic like this. We're all learning, and we should all be growing through it. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to have a conformed mind. I don't want you to have a closed mind to the possibilities of what could come from this. All the great solutions and opportunities that could come from a very circumstance that you think is here to hinder not only yourself and your teaching style, but the kiddos. Yes, there are plenty negatives that are not coming from our e-learning, but there can be plenty of positives that can come from this. But it all comes back to, are we focusing on the problems or are we focusing on the solution? Because whatever we focus on is definitely going to grow. Now, when we conform our mindset, when we close our mindset to the way that the world wants us to operate, to the rules and the regulations, the news headlines, what conformity is fear-based. Conformity says you're not enough. Conformity says you're under-equipped. Conformity comes in and tries to steal your joy, your peace, your happiness. You say, hey, you know what? I figured out this kind of e-learning thing. I got my Bitmojis. I'm talking to my kiddos. Some of them understand the mute and not mute, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, that's not good enough, my child doesn't learn that way. We realize that every kid learns differently, but we can't be conformed to just one way of teaching, one way of learning, one way of thinking. Are we focusing on the criticizing, condemning, and complaining through all this, or are we going to be adaptable to this? And I'm sure that you've heard all of this, and you're like, I'm tired of being adaptable. But why? Why are you tired of being adaptable? Is it about you or is it about the kiddos? When we conform to our feelings, when we conform to, this is the only way I want to teach, this is the only way I know how to teach, we have to change that mindset. Conformity is like this. Here's what I want to give you an example. Conformity is like a grasshopper in a jar. A grasshopper is very tiny but very mighty. For its size, it can jump very high. For its size, the little tiny grasshopper can jump up to 30 inches. So what that's relatable to a human being is if I were to take one leaping bound through this camera, that would be like me jumping from here all the way across a football field. That's just how mighty that grasshopper is. Here's the thing. With the grasshopper, it's going to adapt to its environment. If I took that very same grasshopper and put it in a jar, close the lid, poke some holes in there because we want to make sure it's breathing, no animal cruelty here, okay? What would happen is it eventually keep hitting the top, criticizing, condemning, complaining, criticizing, condemning, complaining. What eventually would happen with that grasshopper is it would go just right beneath that lid. And if I were to take off the lid, give it freedom to do whatever it wants, it would never jump higher than where that lid was at. And the reason why is it conformed to its environment. It shut its mind off from growing. It shut its mind off to the solutions. It shut its mind off to the possibilities of what could come once that lid was removed, what could come outside of this temporary season. So I don't want you to be conformed into the criticizing, condemning, complaining of your bosses, of the districts, of what's going on, but instead of conforming, which is fear-based, news headlines, fear-based, articles that friends share, fear-based. Come on, y'all. I know I'm hitting home with somebody. Come on. What we got to do, instead of criticizing, condemning, complaining, we have to adapt. Adaptability is confidence within yourself that says, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to go all out for myself, for my family, for my child, for my kiddos. I may mess up, but I'm going to try, I'm going to fail, and I'm going to adjust. Because isn't that what we want for our kiddos, to try, fail, and adjust? It's okay. Remember, you're the leader of yourself, and you're the leader of your kiddo. You're the leader of your family, and they're watching. They're watching what you're doing. So we have to lead by example. If we're solution focused, guess what? Our kiddos have the same mindset. We're creatures of habit. We like to see and then do. So if you are solution focused, guess what? Oh man, those kiddos are so resilient and brilliant that they're going to be solution focused too. They're going to say, we're going to get through this together. But first, they're waiting to see what you do. Parents, teachers, educators, all of you who have the great opportunity of being able to be a leader to our kiddos, keep it up. You may feel unequipped, but you're not. You just got to keep trying. You might fail, but that doesn't mean that you're a failure. And then adjust. How can we make it a little bit better? Because adaptability is where the joy is at. Adaptability is where the peace at. Adaptability is, even though there's a storm around us, even though there's an invisible enemy around us, there's calmness. You know what? Adaptability is saying, I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I may not know what we're going to do next week or 2 weeks from now. It might be totally different than when we first started off this past week, but I'm going to adapt. I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to take this great opportunity to spend time with my kiddos. And some might be like, yo, bro, I'm tired of my kids. They need to leave. I'm tired of them talking back. Okay, cool, I get it. We're all human beings, and the kiddos are still learning. But you can either be conformed to the circumstances, or you can be adaptable to the circumstances. So I want to leave you with a few maybe tips that might help you out along the way to keep working on your mindset of how we can get through more of the virtual learning, more of the e-learning, because you can do it. You just got to be a little bit adaptable. And it's not about what you don't have, it's about what you do have. And I think that all of these things are things that you do have, and you don't have to apply all of them. It's kind of like a grocery store. When you're at a grocery store, you don't buy everything. You just buy what you need, and if you need something else, if you forgot something, you come back and get it. Or you might want to try something new, and if you don't like it, don't buy it again. Don't pull it off the shelf. But if you do, you might go back for more. You might even tell your friends about it. So let's talk about some tangible things that you can help out. When I wake up in the morning, I like to watch a motivational video, 1 to 3 minutes. I keep it pretty short while I'm still waking up, but I also like to read. I like to read either a chapter or for at least 10 minutes in the morning. So grab your favorite book and read it. Now, what I would recommend is, sure, read whatever type of book that you want, but what I would recommend is starting your day off right. So what I like to do is I like to pull out the Bible. If you're not a spiritual person, well, sorry, I didn't know you were going to watch this video, but that's just who I am. So if that's not your thing, cool. What I would recommend is finding a self-development, a self-help type of book to help work on your mindset, work on improving your skills, work on improving the overall person that you are, which you're a winner. Sometimes we just forget that, and sometimes we need to learn our skills and sharpen the tools that are in our toolbox so that we can go out and apply it and maybe be a better employer, maybe be a better parent, maybe have better relationships with the people in our life, whatever it may be. So try to spend 5 to 10 minutes reading, not only in the morning, but I also like to end my day. Because if we can alter a day, we can alter our life. take the first 5-10 minutes of your day and the last 5-10 minutes of your day and try to read a book, maybe even watch an inspirational video, motivational video, something that's going to sow into your life, and hopefully eventually down the road you can reap from that seed that you planted inside of you. The next thing, what I like to do is you can either have a notebook, maybe even post-it notes. Sometimes people like vision boards. Maybe that's like their future goals of what they want to accomplish, how much they want to save, where they want to travel. Or sometimes people, I know a lot of people, they like, we have some post-it note lovers out there. Not me, but I have a few. And here's the thing. Write down some positive affirmations. Maybe something like, you're awesome. You're worth it. You can do it. You're amazing. I believe in you. Smile. Be joyful. Choose joy. Write yourself some affirmations. Maybe you put it somewhere in your room or your kiddo's room where they can see it, and every single day they have a different message. It can be very short, sweet, to the point, and that's going to totally just change the way that their day is, because they might be having a rough day. They might be having a rough just class. Technology is not working out in their favor. But if they look over and they see, you're amazing, it totally changes everything. But not just for the kiddos. Maybe you need it. Maybe you need to put it on your bathroom mirror. Maybe you need to put it in your purse, inside your wallet. Maybe you need to put it in your car. Just a little daily reminder, even if it's to yourself. That's totally fine. If you have a spouse, maybe write one to each other. Maybe have, 1 week, one spouse writes one to one kid and the next week somebody else. Think about that. Sometimes what I like to have too is I like to take notes. So when I'm watching the videos later on, maybe in the day, if I'm watching another video online or just really taking a course trying to learn something, whether it's for, helping out with business or maybe it's mentoring teens, whatever it may be, I'm always trying to learn something. I always try to learn something new each and every single day. Well, I take that notebook and I write down notes so that I can go back and review them when I need them. Or I'm a church guy. I like to watch church. Right now I watch church online. So sometimes the sermons, they don't necessarily hit home certain weeks. But I tell you what, there are some times where I need to be reminded about forgiveness. There are some times when I need to know about being peaceful in the middle of the storm. There are some times that I have to be reminded of who I am and whose I am so I can go back and review those notes. I challenge you to do that. It might be something good. Also, what I like to do is I think that a lot of times we're not spending probably as much time in cars, but we do like to put kind of on our headphones and get rid of all the noise, get rid of all the chaos behind us. But what's going in is more important than anything right now, because what's going inside of us is eventually going to come out. So if we're listening to the criticizing, condemning, complaining, guess what? We're going to criticize, condemn, and complain. And when you start asking your kiddos questions and they're criticizing something that you're saying, they're complaining about a situation, and then you're like, why are you being like that? And they're like, well, that's what you do, or that's what I heard you say, or that's how I see you act. Why can't I act like that? Remember, you're a leader. You're leading by example. It's okay for you to fail. Not every day is going to be perfect. Let's be honest here. No day. Well, here's the thing what I want you to focus about. It may not be a perfect day, but you may not win the day. You can try to win the day, but some days just doesn't happen like that. I call them character building days because, let's be honest, there are some days that really work on my character, really work on my patience. So that's why I call them character building days. So you might have failed the day, but you always want to try to win the week. It may be a bad week though. We'll try to make it a good month. So you gotta focus on what's going in. Maybe it's a really educational type of podcast. Maybe it's in addition to watching that video, what's going on in your ears. Maybe it's positive, upbeat music, not music that's down and out, talking about this, that, and the other, doom and gloom in the world, or treating other people poorly or shooting other people. Like, you don't want to listen to that music. Put something positive in. Put something that's going to move you, because that's what you need to do. You need to move. You need to take daily, deliberate, proactive action to our solution focus. We have to be adaptable. We got to move. But if we're just sitting, A lot of times we're just conforming to what's going on. And one of the very last things that I want to be able to focus on is a highlighter. Well, what am I going to do with the highlighter? Highlight stuff in the book? Yeah, you could do that. But here's what I want the highlighter to represent in your life. Because a lot of sports are canceled right now, and we've had to slow down in this world, which might be a really good thing. I know that some of you are trying to speed up still, but it might just still be a really good idea to slow down and work on the social aspect with our kiddos. So what the highlighter is what's the highlight of the day? When you're at your dinner table, when you're at the kitchen table, when you're encountering your kiddos at the end of the night for dinner, maybe it's even lunch. What I would ask that you do for your kiddos, and even for you, because I think that you guys can grow in relationship, is what is a high of the day? What's something awesome, positive that you absolutely loved? And then what's a low? What didn't you like about the day? What didn't go well? What made you feel sad? And you might be thinking, Javier, you just said not to criticize, condemn, or complain. You know what? There comes a time where you have to talk about the high parts and the low parts. But the reason why I want you to talk about it with your kiddos is because they're missing that social interaction, the social encounters of being physically in person with other kids their age. They can't feel and empathize with other kiddos behind that screen of how they're feeling. They don't understand that that kiddo on the other side really needs the school to be open because they don't know how they're gonna eat lunch tomorrow. They're going through adversity, and all they might need is somebody to say, hey, I want to share my snack with you. You know what? My mom made extra food today. You can have this. I know that might be frowned upon right now because of what's going on, but we're missing just the pure, genuine love that kids give to each other, that they see and say, hey, here, I have extra. Give me a little more. So this gives us an opportunity at the dinner table to have those social encounters with the kiddos. It can be an opportunity, a learning moment from the book that you were reading. You might have read in that book, hey, you know what? I have an example. I was reading in a book about how to overcome problems, how to overcome how you're feeling right now. Hey, I read in that book about negativity and about positivity, and when life doesn't go your way, about how we can be more positive in the solution. I read in a book about how you can have one way of thinking and it makes you feel down, it makes you feel sad, how you do now, or it can, if we do these certain steps, it's going to make you feel happy. It's going to make you feel joyful. It's going to make you feel important. It's going to let you know that you are important. So take that opportunity to have those social interactions with your kiddos. And again, it's time to slow down. We're at home. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but let's focus on what we can control right now. And I always would love to see parents, teachers, educators, the leaders that we have around our youth, around our future generation, our future police officers, our future mayors, our future doctors, our future of this world. I always want to challenge you to walk the extra mile with those kiddos. I know you're tired. I know your feet hurt. I know you weren't prepared to go the extra mile, but the kids appreciate that. And they're always watching to see what you're doing. Sow that seed of walking the extra mile, because there's going to be plenty of people in their life that don't even finish the first mile for them, that don't even look them in the eye and say, I believe in you. There's so many opportunities where those kiddos aren't going to have somebody that goes the extra mile. So I challenge you parents, you teachers and educators, always walk the extra mile with your kiddos, but always also be willing to walk the first with them. Be adaptable. Don't be conformed to this world, but transform yourself, transform your mindset, transform into solution focused, and watch how the kiddos respond and react and get after life. They're watching you, you matter, you're equipped, and always keep your mind right. You are enough, and live in victory always.